On Friday, Donald Trump posted, "I absolutely love that Colbert got fired. His talent was even less than his ratings." Would an untalented man be able to compose the following satirical witticism? Go yourself.
He's going to be a factor for a while. It's so funny because, he was just this knucklehead. I knew him before he was, a president. He was just a guy who was chasing girls. Every time he went out, he'd come over and be like, "What's the name of that girl?" That's all he was. And the idea that there's this whole group of people that, that they think he's the champion of, which he certainly can't stand.
Asterisk Trump strides into the cultural crossfire confident his celebrity armor will protect him. But Colbert and Clooney shred that illusion with sharp humor and polished mockery, peeling him apart like an overripe banana, loud, mushy, and reeking worse. By the minute as their roast lands more like demolition than comedy.
Trump isn't even trying to hide his awfulness. His critics accuse him of being a wannabe dictator, so what does he do? He sits down with Hungarian dictator and elephant seal barking for a trout for an official fake state visit with the
the authoritarian, the demagogue, it goes away when they go away, and he will go away. And they don't have anybody that's as charismatic as him. He's charismatic. There's no taking that away from him. He's a television star. He is. He's charismatic. I mean, I don't agree with him at all on anything, but, he was.
Levin Stephen Colbert feeds on Trump's chaos, turning his tweets, rallies, and rambling interviews into a comedy buffet. By magnifying every blunder, he burns away the facade of leadership and leaves Trump looking less like a president, and more like a clueless open mic act spouting half-formed slogans, stumbling through punchlines, and becoming funny only because he doesn't realize
what you all are talking about, but everybody I talk to is talking about what Donald Trump doesn't want to talk about. So let's talk about it. It being the conspiracy surrounding somebody, Jeffrey Epstein, there you go.
Aim at Trump, exposing the insecurity beneath the bluster. While Colbert mocks the clownish act, Clooney contrasts Trump's desperate hunger for fame and applause with his own effortless confidence, making Trump look like a parody of ambition clamoring for validation, like a toddler clutching a juice box, never getting the approval he craves.
People would vote for someone who was so deeply flawed. I know Donald Trump. That's the thing is people, I have his phone number in my phone book. He was the guy that came to the bars and asked me about which cocktail waitress was single. That's who he was.
This is back in the 90s.
Not that long, no, back in the 2000s, quite honestly. And so there's this part of you that just goes, well, that guy shouldn't be president. But I was wrong, and he was, and our democracy.
Lampoons Trump's rambling style tangents, half-finished thoughts, and grand claims that vanish into nothing, making him look like the world's worst improv comic stumbling through nonsense as the crowd watches in disbelief. By mimicking his cadence and showing how every promise collapses mid-sentence, Colbert exposes a man desperate to appear strong but trapped in his own maze of words.
Years before he was, reelected, and recently since they all got into office, a bunch of high-ranking people in Trump's administration have kept promising to release the files surrounding Jeffrey Epstein, his mysterious clients, and his suspicious death. But now, suddenly, for reasons that I legally cannot think of, Donald Trump seems desperate to stop us from knowing who Jeffrey Epstein's.
Clooney sharpens the roast by targeting Trump's vanity, his hair, tan, and desperate insistence on looking vigorous. In contrast to Clooney's effortless aging, Trump's obsession with appearance becomes tragic comedy. The orange tint, a symbol of desperation. The hair, a crown of denial, and the whole image a fragile disguise painted so thickly it crumbles under its own weight.
And yours, but he posted in July. Now, fake movie actor George Clooney is getting into the act. He's turned on Crooked Joe. What does Clooney know about anything? Should get out of politics and go back to television. Movies never really worked for him.
I will if he does.
He doesn't know that movies are fake, does he?
I don't think so.
Colbert rips into Trump's business flops, bankrupt casinos, sham universities, and hollow empires, mocking him as the only man who could make a casino lose money and painting him as a bankrupt monopoly man living off press releases instead of profits. Clooney widens the lens, skewering Trump's obsession with Hollywood and the irony of chasing celebrity approval only to become its favorite punchline. In his framing, Trump isn't the star he longs to be, he's the blooper reel everyone laughs at.
A heavy heart, because while I was on vacation, my Paramount paid Donald Trump a $16 million settlement over his 60 minutes lawsuit. As someone who has always been a proud employee of this network, I am offended. And I don't know if anything will ever repair my trust in this company. But just taking a stab at it, I'd say $16 million would help.
Colbert roasts Trump's chaotic presidency staff turnover, endless scandals, and press conferences unraveling like cheap yarn, likening it to a reality show that should have been canceled after one season but somehow ran for 4. Clooney piles on by contrasting Trump with real statesmen, mocking his diplomacy as little more than photo ops and autograph collecting. Together, they strip away any gravitas, exposing a man addicted to appearances rather than leadership.
Unlike your ability to sleep at night, the Epstein scandal will not go away. The president denied that Attorney General Pam Bondi informed him that his name was in the Epstein file. So naturally, last night, Attorney General Pam Bondi informed the president that his name was in the Epstein file. I, for one, was shocked. What are you going to tell me next? That the Pope...
Colbert skewers Trump's endless self-pity, turning his billionaire complaints into comedy gold and portraying him as the world's richest martyr, drowning in grievances like a broken faucet. Clooney hammers the legacy, reducing Trump's historic ambitions to a cautionary tale and a punchline, remembered for spectacle rather than leadership. Together, they form a perfect tag team, Colbert targeting words and absurdities, Clooney dismantling ego, vanity, and hollow cravings for status.
Yesterday, he said he was surprised anyone even cares about the guy.
Why they would be so interested. He's dead for a long time. He was never a big factor in terms of...
That sentence was never a big factor in terms of word.
I don't understand why the Jeffrey Epstein case would be of interest to anybody. It's pretty boring.
Yes. No, he's right. The Epstein.
Trump isn't just roasted, he's systematically dismantled. Colbert magnifies his absurdities, from rambling speeches to obsession with crowd sizes, turning every exaggeration and insecurity into sharp satire. While Clooney exposes his vanity and fragile ego with elegant ridicule, together, they strip away pretense, leaving Trump crumbling under his own ridiculousness, reduced from a man demanding loyalty and applause to a cautionary tale and comedian's favorite punchline. Remembered not as a titan but as a parody of himself.
We don't know if he was doing the creepy crime, but we do have a cover. And just like the cover up on his face, it is patchy and there's something really ugly under there. Incriminating details just keep coming out. For instance, this recent...
Have you ever socialized with Donald Trump in the presence of females under the age of 18?
Okay, that's a slam dunk. Just say no. Okay, take it away, Jeffrey.
Though I'd like to answer that question, at least today.
Clooney mocks Trump's desperate grasp for celebrity approval, showing him as an eternal outsider craving Oscars but ending up hosting WrestleMania, ridiculed and resented by the cultural elite. Meanwhile, Colbert hammers Trump's fragile relationship with facts, portraying his endless falsehoods and shameless inventions as a failed magic act, where confidence can't substitute for truth. Together, they expose a man addicted to admiration yet trapped in a performance no one outside his circle ever takes seriously.
I think that, you know, and I think you would agree, and I think we all sort of see it, I think that's sort of landed in a way. Trump is actually a result in many ways of the fact that much of the news programs didn't follow up and ask tough questions. That's the truth. It was, you know, it's really easy because your numbers go up.
Revels in Trump's global humiliation, showing a man desperate for respect but mocked by leaders worldwide, his self-proclaimed dealmaker persona reduced to stand-up gone wrong, leaving behind weakened alliances and embarrassing headlines. Colbert tears into Trump's rallies, portraying them as repetitive, ego-boosting concerts where recycled lines and nostalgia mask a lack of substance. Clooney adds the finishing touch by skewering Trump's obsession with winning, mocking how every defeat from court losses to midterm setbacks is spun as a secret victory, like a gambler insisting the House actually owed him money.
24-hour news doesn't mean you get more news, it just means you get the same news more. So the more and more and more you hear, you know, these guys, you know, the ratings go up because they can show up empty podiums saying Donald Trump is about to speak. You know, as opposed to taking those 30 seconds and saying, well, let's talk about refugees, which is the biggest crisis that's going on in our country.
Exposes Trump's delusion and fragile ego, portraying a man who declares himself undefeated, while evidence piles up around him and lashes out at comedians and journalists as if punchlines were attacks on governments. Clooney finishes the roast by dismantling Trump's fantasy of legacy, showing that instead of monuments or reverence, he'll be remembered as a cautionary tale, a blooper reel of incompetence. A spectacle of self-promotion buried under laughter, where punchlines replace applause and history records comedy instead